Hey guys, welcome to Insights of the Soul 2 Pathways to Energy Healing, where tonight we talk about part 3 generational pain and past life experience trauma. And believe it or not, there are some crossovers to those two, which is why they are being discussed together tonight. But first, I just want to talk about how everybody did with their assignments from last week, where we talked about the belief healing process and discovering, recognizing where some of our dis-ease is in our body, our souls, our energy, and then using the belief healing process to get past some of those things, have those aha moments, those breakthroughs, so that the body doesn't have to keep giving us those messages of dis-ease because we have given the soul the validation and recognition that it needs to heal. So yeah, there was that. And then hopefully at least one or two of you maybe were able to practice with someone else in the group, and have some discussion about that and learn maybe a little something from the other person. I did post some related videos. And then, yeah, if you're moving on with building your clientele, reaching out to my clientele or my following on my page. So I would be thrilled to know that you guys did this for yourself. If you understand how to do it for yourself and you see those results for yourself, it makes it so much more powerful to lead somebody else through it because your belief has now been raised and you see how it can work. And you believe that they can also help themselves with your assistance. So, anybody do it? Who had a breakthrough? Who healed something in their belief? Or even tried? Or even thought about it? Um,
I know me and Miriam worked on some stuff yesterday and it was good, but I don't think I heard enough last week that
mhm.
I feel like I missed something. So I need to go back and watch it.
Yeah,
But we
yeah.
did come up with a really good affirmation.
Let me hear it.
Um, of course, hang on.
Of course.
I do want to hear it. So it was on me not feeling like I'm doing enough. And so it is enough to have done my best, and my mistakes are part of my success.
Yeah. Success is standing on a pile of failure. Right? And there's a billboard about that. That's amazing.
Yeah.
So you have a new mantra, a new affirmation to go with that. That's awesome. Thanks for sharing. Anyone else? I have one. I have one. I did the belief process on myself. Not in the last week, but like in the last 2 weeks or so, I did do it. Okay, I'll tell my story. Okay, so when I am doing dishes, I just like at the, loading the dishwasher kind of a thing. And I just hate it so much. I just want to leave. I want to walk away. And I thought I would outgrow this. I am 46 years old and I still hate it. I know everybody hates it, which is why I've not ever stopped to do the belief process on it before. I was just like, everybody hates dishes, right? That's a belief right there. So I guess I hate it too. And then one day I was doing it and I was just like, I can't stand this. Like, it can't be this hard. There are people, there are grown ups who just do this and they don't cry about it all the time like me. And so I stood at the sink and just I was like, just pray. And I thought, what is the first memory you have where you felt um, like this is a punishment or something, a horrible situation to be in, to be doing dishes? And at first, nothing came to me. And then, like at first, I was like, I don't know, like I don't have anything that said that. And I was like, no, there is something, and it could be anything. It could even be unrelated. So I was just like, I held it. And then I remember I saw my older sister washing dishes, and the washing the dishes job was really my mom's. But my older sister was naughty often enough that that became her punishment. Now, not my punishment, her punishment, because I was that kid that always tried to stay in line and not get in trouble and do what mom said. And so, because I'm like the third kid now, so like they learn, right? And I'm watching her do that. And so then I'm watching my mother sit on the couch and watch TV and whatever, like maybe with the rest of us. So she's just chilling. Like she's like, I got a good deal here. My kid was in trouble, so they have to do the dishes, and I'm gonna sit here because and just watch TV. And so I realized in that moment there was a belief that was like, good people sit on the couch and watch TV, and bad people do the dishes. You guys, I'm 46 years old. This is a belief that is somewhere inside of me. And all I'm feeling is like anxiety, and I want to pull away, and I hate this. And I feel like there's a demon around the dishwasher all the time, and I never know what it's about. And then I finally just went, okay, flip the script. Good people do the dishes, and good people watch TV too. But come on, like if one of them is like bad, it's probably the one being lazy. And honestly, I think my mom did abuse that with my sister because she hated dishes so bad too. And then my sister's over there putting off bad energy about it. And I'm somewhere in the middle going, oh, okay, I'm forming my beliefs. I'm forming like what this is supposed to mean to me. So now I just always feel so punished doing the dishes. Like, what in the heck? Of course, if you're being punished, you're going to want to pull away from it. And so I was just like, take a deep breath and just be like, you're a good person because you do the dishes. And honestly, the funny thing about doing belief work on yourself is when it's gone and it's healed, you kind of forget that it happened. It was a great reason to keep a journal or something because I was just like, oh, I think I did something this week, but I don't remember. But that happens like when you clear it, you're done. There will be big shifts that happen in my life. I'm like, no, how did that shift all of a sudden? And I have to look back and be like, oh, I think I had an aha moment a few months ago and everything shifted. And it's kind of like when it's cleared, it's cleared. And you're just not holding on to that anymore. So watch for that. Watch for a little amnesia after you clear something. Luckily, this was just in the last couple of weeks and it had been with me for many, many years. So that one was that way. But anything like that in your life, you just take a few minutes and you talk to it and you find out what that belief is in there. You flip the script. Most of the time, it's pretty obvious how to flip that script. And then just go, so glad I discovered the origin of that belief that was not serving me. So there's my story. Anybody else want to share anything from homework last week?
I just had it. So to rephrase, like this is like reframing your thoughts,
Mm-hmm.
reframing stuff from your past. And then as far as the healing part of it, um, is it helpful to bring like the angels in to say like to clear that for you? Or
Raise
what's
the
like
vibration. Yeah, you can always bring in angels.
is it
If
just doing like an affirmation or just saying, okay, now I'm gonna look at it this way
Mhm.
and that's it?
It
I guess
depends.
I'm just
Sometimes it is. Sometimes it really is just enough for you to be like, oh, okay. If it's really, really hard, I mean, I guess you always want to be intuitive with what you do. I don't call in an angel every time and whatever. So a lot of times that click in the head of like, oh my gosh, that's what I've been doing is enough for me to heal it. And this is why talk therapy is really, for stuff like this is really what insurance covers. It's all over the nation. There's people, gone to college for all these things. And we have this other energy healing aspect because we feel like we do have a little extra insight. We have insight to the core. I don't think in talk therapy I would have well, I guess I could have come to that conclusion, but I don't know that I would have brought that issue into talk therapy. So when we go to talk therapy, it's like you got 10 sessions and you usually come in for a big issue you don't feel like you have yourself. I cannot see myself getting on the phone and saying, like, I just don't like doing dishes. Like, you don't go there for that. It might have come out some way. And so it's like, but it could have. I could have gotten to that point, had an aha, and the therapist could have been like, oh, so you see doing dishes as being like a punishment for, and we could have gotten to that moment. I would have that aha and it would have cleared. So energy is like you get this deep intuition for the things that you would probably never even think to bring up just because you notice the subtle energy of you just not feeling well. And then also with energy, you get to bring in this added element of like, well, we believe in angels. Like, help me clean this quick. Help me to always, or just clear it and replace it with love and light and things like that, which we're kind of talking about that process again tonight in some steps. So, and then we breathe in, just well, anything positive, and we also, as we breathe out, we release anything that no longer serves us. So there's like an additional intention behind it besides that aha moment. But the aha moment is, the recognizing the brain what you were thinking and believing, and deciding to have a different script is the same for all types of healing, basically everywhere when it comes to the mind body spirit connection. Okay, a little
okay.
different.
I'm sorry. Like I'm trying to
No.
wrap my head around this.
Hmm.
So, and I'll just give you the example. Like, whenever I come up to like a review or something like that, I feel like all of a sudden I'm like, I didn't do enough. And so I come up with all these things in my head like, well, you're going to get in trouble because you didn't do this or you didn't do that or you didn't do this. You could have done better. You could have done better. Like that's kind of what goes through my head.
Hmm.
And and I there was examples that I could come up with from when I was younger. I did some muscle testing, but um and I didn't feel like this huge shift. We did come up with a good affirmation, but I didn't feel a
Hmm.
good big shift. And every time, like, I'm going to have a review next Monday, and I know right before that review, I'm going to start stressing myself out all weekend and not sleeping. And, and it, like, I can't seem to get out of it, even though I know
Hmm.
I'm good enough. I know I did my best. I know,
I have a whole
like,
slide for you tonight
okay,
about that. So, and I'll just a little bit of a spoiler alert. If it hasn't cleared yet, we haven't totally found its origin. We don't have the whole
okay,
story. And so you'll be like, oh, that does feel better to think like that. And so your vibration's a little bit raised by the nature of the looking at it and the just saying something more positive. And so some symptoms start to go down with what that dis-ease is. But you haven't totally found it. There is a bigger story. It's probably not yours, Summer. If you've had something this long that keeps bugging and you are a very insightful person who's always doing energy, whatever, you're looking, and it has not cleared, it's probably not yours. And this is a great segue into tonight's lesson where we
you're
talk about
welcome. That was not
generational pain.
planned.
Thank you. Thank you, Summer. We're going to just ease right on into that now. Yeah, because I have a lot of those will be answered. Okay, let's just talk about what generational pain is. First of all, this dude right here, Dr. Bradley Nelson, wrote the book on it, created the program. He lives in St. George, Utah. He is a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, if that means anyone to anyone. And he is all about how we get trapped emotions that are from our ancestors. So, according to Dr. Bradley Nelson, generational pain involves inherited emotional energies that stem from ancestors' unresolved traumas and emotional experiences. These energies are believed to be stored in the body, potentially causing physical discomfort and emotional disturbances in descendants, perpetuating cycles of pain and dysfunction across generations. So, think of it like this. We've talked about there's beliefs and the beliefs that don't serve you. Anything that's untrue in your energy will cause some sort of dis-ease. It will make you unbalanced. You will be unwell. You know that for you. We've been talking about that, but it's the same thing, except for it happened to your ancestors. And this has now been passed down largely through through the DNA, I believe is what he's saying. Like it's with us because we are with them. We're connected to our ancestors. And so we're now holding beliefs that do not serve us that were once theirs. It's not just thyroid cancer that may affect your thyroid disease. It's a belief that did not serve somewhere in the generations, perhaps, that that belief energy was never cleared. It was they never had their aha moment. It was never like, oh, that's what that is. Like I shouldn't think like that. And so, anyways, so it's been passed down. It doesn't mean that we will clear all of the entirely clear all of the physical dis-ease problems, because remember your body's just here to teach you about your spirit, but we can teach the spirit to overcome those things. And I have an example for myself, but I'm gonna wait till later on that. So that's like generational pain. It was through your ancestors, through your bloodline, and it comes down, and that makes it tricky when you're adopted, but it's still very doable. It's basically the same process to figure it out. Okay. Then, and I'm going to teach you how these are related, but let's talk about past life experience trauma. And just as a reminder, I do not believe in reincarnation. I'm Christian and my beliefs don't take me into the space of thinking we have thousands of bodies that live and die and are buried in the earth. I do believe that because we were spirits and we weren't just sitting on the couch of heaven waiting for our turn on earth, we chose to be a part of a lot of different experiences. We were able to, what I call kind of job shadow other people and their experiences. I'm sure one day, we could have been the Queen of Egypt, and the next day I was helping people cross over from the Titanic and experiencing and feeling all of that. I believe that we were angels to them as well. So we were learning from them, gaining experience, but because we were just spirit energy, we could literally feel everything their body went through, their emotions, all their thoughts, all their beliefs. And in my work with clients, I usually don't see anything that's still causing dis-ease in their body or soul that goes beyond the last 200 years. So even though I mean, at least this Earth's been around a long, long time, we've resolved a lot of the stuff that's way, way back there. It's usually more recent things that we are still kind of grasping with. So anyways, that's when I go to past life experience, I am not talking about past lives and reincarnation personally. However, if that is your belief, that you believe in reincarnation and all the things, the effect on the soul is the exact same. So we don't need to split hairs all day and be like, well, I think this and I think that. And it's like, I think it affects our soul. Okay. And that we have things to clear from that. So that's all samesies. I just know that a lot of Christians appreciate it when I explain it the way that I see it, because it just jives better. We can move past it and learn. So past life experience trauma refers to emotional or psychological distress believed to originate from experiences in previous incarnations. I left that word there, incarnations, just whatever. Okay. You've heard my explanation, but adherence suggests these resolve what traumas can impact current behaviors. Anyways, the stuff causes it can impact current behaviors, relationships, and health, influencing one's present life through subconscious memories. Subconscious memories, there's a lot in the subconscious. Summer, we'll get to that, or patterns carried over from past lives. Think about for just a minute before we move on from this one, because this is interesting. Like, we've all been dealing with generational trauma, and like, oh, my grandpa had this, now I have that. Like, to some extent, you were aware that you inherited things from your ancestors, but not everybody is really quite aware of like how past life trauma is, or your experiences can create trauma. But also there's some fun things to it too. Like I mentioned the Titanic. I feel very drawn to the Titanic and learning about it. And when I learned about past lives, I was like, okay, so somebody who believes in reincarnation would say, okay, Amy, you had a past life on the Titanic and you died on the Titanic. Okay. And I'd be like, I did. I knew it because I'm obsessed with the Titanic. But my story to you is like, no, I didn't. I was an angel to it. I got to experience what they experienced. I cannot stand cold water. Okay. There's some trauma to that. I mean, like Pineview over here in July is like, I'll scream like a knife is going into my back. Can't stand it. Until I get used to it. Anyways, I'm just saying, like, there are some traumas. There's definitely some traumas connected to it, but there's also like a joy and an intrigue. And so I believe I was able to be an angel. And you have been angels to everything that you have witnessed too. So it's a dual thing. So think right now, somebody shouted out, what is a part of history that you've always been very intrigued by, that you feel a connection to? What you got? Summer one.
Archaeology.
Archaeology. So like dinosaur bones and stuff like that,
Um,
or just the rocks.
Mayan ruins, Egyptian,
Okay.
like digging up anything of past cultures. I love
Yeah.
culture. I love hearing about different
So
beliefs. And
is it ancient culture then?
yes,
Ancient.
I
Yeah.
love really any culture. I love to
Hmm.
hear about even current cultures, but I'm fascinated with archaeology.
Yeah.
So
Amazing.
ancient. Yeah.
Yeah. A little more on the ancient side, but still learning about new things.
Yep.
Yeah. And you guys are personalities that you have now. Like Summer loves that right now. Her spirit has probably always loved that. She probably got around to a lot of different things. Like, I want to learn this. I want to learn that. We'll have a different draw. Okay. Who's got one? Who else can think of one? We'll do one more. The Civil War. What else is there? Egypt comes up a lot for people. A lot of people were intrigued by Egypt. Yeah, anyone? Nothing? Okay, you guys aren't history buffs. That's fine. Okay, let's move on. Okay, so this is how they're similar. Generational pain and past life experience trauma both involve the transmission of unresolved emotional or psychological distress across different lifetimes. Okay, same idea, just different places that, people that they may have come from. And this is how they're different. Past life experience trauma pertains to traumas believed to be carried over from an individual's own previous incarnations. So we're going like past lives. They're saying maybe not irrespective of their familial lineage. So maybe not your family. My family goes way back, but goes back to Adam and Eve, right? But there's nothing Egyptian in there. But maybe I job shadowed Egyptians for a day, looked at the tomb. I don't know. Um, Summer's interested in everything around the world, which is not related to all of them. Okay, but she probably has spent some time in past lives looking at it. And then, so this concept assumes a continuity of the individual soul through various lives, carrying emotional and psychological burdens from one lifetime to another. Um, yeah. So it's just saying without the family lineage, but dun dun dun. What does Amy believe? What have I seen? I think that past life experiences were us, I said this before, but job shadowing others' lives, experiencing what they experience through our spirits and through their bodies slash spirits, because they have a body and a spirit. Okay, we were gained experience. I'm gonna fix that slide. We gained experience this way, but we're also of service by acting to them as angels. I think many times, here's the kicker. Here's what I believe. Many times those that we job shadowed were our own ancestors. Many times, much of it. And here's why. Often we have past life trauma and generational pain together. The past life experiences stayed with our spirits, and the generational pain was passed down through our DNA. And this is so that we, like, I mean, everything is in theory, right? Till Jesus comes down and tells us himself. But we looked at, we job shadowed our own ancestors to really understand and feel what they were feeling and what they were going through, knowing that our bodies would also eventually get the DNA. So we have like the two perspectives. So many times, and I'm not the only one who believes this. I actually picked this up somewhere else and it resonated with me. But a lot of times we are job shadowing our own ancestors so that we can be prepared to know how to heal them best. So they are connected, despite what maybe New Age may say, and then Dr. Bradley, he doesn't not say that, but that's why these two ideas are merged. Do you guys have questions on that before I move on? Trying to make that pretty clear, but clear as mud, right? Okay. Okay. And so how do we heal them? This is going to be very simple and brief, but I don't expect you to totally understand it just from this either. So we always want to understand the origins. That was part of the belief healing process that we talked about last week. This is why we're saying, is it generational pain? Is it past life experience? And other things that we're going to talk about throughout the rest of this course. We've got some of the foundations to it, like the chakras. We got like the map of the body of the energy, and then we've got the healing process to it. But there's a lot of things that could be. There's attachments. There's my brain just went dead. Anyways, there's a lot of different things of where these things could be coming from when there is dis-ease in the soul or in the body. Tonight, I'm introducing a couple different things that it could be, so that as you have more ideas of where we need to look, these are a couple of them that where you could look. So understand the origins of where this dis-ease is coming from, connect the symptoms or disease associated with the passed down false beliefs that created the negative symptoms. Okay, so like if I'm hurting, if my right shoulder's hurting, I'm like, what is this? And let's just say we are going the route of generational pain. I'm gonna be like, what belief is being held in there? And there is a way to like there's a chart I'm going to show you later that will kind of help you figure some of this out. And then so then you want to validate those false beliefs, like recognize them. Like I was like, oh, okay, so bad people do dishes, good people sit on the couch like lazy people. Okay, so validate that, just like recognize it. And then you're going to release that, like if it doesn't serve you, set a new intention, healing, intention or healing affirmation. I'm going to say, no, Amy, good people wash the dishes, and lazy people or people who don't want to do the dishes make their kid have to do them when it's maybe an excessive form of punishment if it's done too often. Okay. And then always we breathe in gratitude, breath of life, and replace with love and light. Because literally everything hurts or things hurt when there's an absence of love and light. And we're just trying to replace it with the fullness of that light by clearing out things that don't serve us, that are dark, that are blocking the chakra, beliefs that don't serve us, all the things that make us stagnant and imbalanced, which cause dis-ease. So the answer is light at the end of that. So, okay, questions before I move on? I'm going to give you lots of examples tonight about how we're going to heal this and stories behind it, just to get your brain moving. Okay. All right. So things to remember, and this is the slide I kind of wanted to jump to when Summer was asking her question. Um, so, okay, I'll read through these and then I'll discuss my answer to Summer. So we must discover the origin of the disease in order to fully heal it. If we don't, we may feel some relief from the temporary higher vibrations that come with bringing awareness to the problem, but the disease will return after a while if the false beliefs haven't been cleared from the root, their root cause. Healing is all about asking the right questions and looking in every possible hiding place until you discover its true origin. So if Summer spends the rest of her life going, what's wrong with me? Why can't I get past this? What's wrong with me? Why can't I get past this? And it's not her, it's generational, or it's something that was picked up in a past life. And she's thinking like, I can't think, and she's about my age. She's like, in all these years, I can't think of any reason why I would truly not be able to get past this. And she's looking only from what she knows about herself. It's it may never clear. It is a good place to start. It's always a good place to start. Is this mine? Where did this start with me? What's my first memory? Because I do feel like the dishes thing, like I could that totally resonated with me, like, oh my gosh, of course it created little neural pathways in my brain that said bad people do dishes, good people sit on the couch. That made sense. And if it here's the deal, if you feel better, and if it was you and you went through this process of belief and you feel better, well, voila, you feel better. If you find that it doesn't work or didn't quite resonate like that, you don't feel that aha moment, like for real though, this is the questions, the answer I've been seeking my whole life, then you need to be like, no, I don't think this is just mine. You start asking different questions and you start saying, okay, is this an ancestors? I usually start back with generational and or wherever the angels guide you, wherever your intuition guides you. Or is this like past life experience stuff? And we got to go way back. I find it much easier to read other people's past lives than my own, FYI. But it's still a question that could be asked. Is it something that I picked up along the way? And therefore, again, like I said, it will a lot of times cross over with your own ancestors, according to the way that I see it. Summer, do you have questions after I said that? What else do you want to ask me or anything before we start talking?
So when you ask those questions, so I was muscle testing. I know you don't muscle test.
No,
so
that's coming up here in a minute, though.
Okay, then I will wait.
No, well, I don't know if you want to wait. It's not like I'm the expert, but it is a part of what we're talking about next.
Well, I was muscle testing. I did ask if this was mine, but it could be mine because it's a past life.
Yes. And so obviously you're the one feeling the dis-ease. Okay. So it's yours.
Yeah.
We'll just say it's yours. We'll own it. It's yours. But is it from a past life? Is it from, my generations? Is it next week we'll be talking about entities and things that block chakras and spiritual weapons and cords and just attachments and things like that. We're going to get into the creepy, gross stuff next week. But those are all things that also attach and come to us because of the dang stinking belief. So we got to go back and find, where did this core belief begin? So it makes sense that this is earlier on in our 6-week course that we're diving into this rather than like an afterthought at the end, because it all comes back to something that is a part of our experience or experiences that are connected to us. So I would love to actually run through this with you as my guinea pig here in a minute, Summer, when we go. I was going to read somebody and be like, okay, why is Summer feeling like she's not doing enough? I want to go back. And we get a story and we capture that story and it's really exciting. And I did that earlier today. So I have some more stories for you guys. Okay, let's move on for a minute though. All right, so here's Dr. Bradley Nelson again. This is his book called The Emotion Code. He has a website called discoverhealing.com. You can actually become Emotion Code certified. I think it's like $1,000. He has a book. I just read the book. I didn't do the certification. He speaks at a lot of energy healing conferences and stuff like that too. In his book, he's got this thing called the Emotion Code chart. There are people who live and die by this. Okay. Like, oh my gosh, it can't be any other way. Well, you guys know me well enough to know that Amy doesn't stay inside one box. And that's one of her, that's one of my gifts. Okay. Is that I can have all of these tools out there and allow which one needs to come to me, which is why I like giving you guys lots of different things too, and staying open to information is really what makes us amazing. But a lot of people like things very structured and don't like stepping outside of the box. And I liked learning about this because it, like I said, it just gave me one more thing to do, but I never felt like I had to stay inside this box. This is the only way to heal. Too often, I think we talked about that maybe in the last course, like you just feel like, oh, this is the way to do it. And you can only do it this way. You can only, and people want thousands of dollars for their programs and stuff like that. And I'm like, it's all about replacing darkness with light. Like that is always what healing is about. But this is a way to help find the origin of what is not going right. And it really did open my mind quite a bit to emotional or generational healing. My sister really latched onto this, and she even varies from this quite a bit. But anyways, so basically, muscle testing. If you are a muscle tester, which I am not, but it doesn't mean I don't use my intuition. So actually, I will do this with Summer right now. So you're going to go down the row thing, row 1, row 2, row 3, row 4, row 5, row 6. When you say there's a dis-ease, in this case, Summer's just like, I hate feeling like I'm not doing enough. Okay. So we would muscle test. Is her feeling showing up in row 1, row 2, row 3, row 4, row 5, row 6? And I feel like throwing up as I check in on that energy. I'm over it. It also feels like sometimes it's like, I don't know, it could be a few of those. If you feel like it's more than one thing, then try to narrow down your question just a little bit more so that you feel like you're really attacking one thing at a time. And it could be several times that we have to go through this because not doing enough is kind of vague. And so it could be a lot of different things. But anyways, you're going to muscle test to see which row it is. Then you're going to muscle test, is it in column A? Like say it was row 2. I'm not testing her yet. Is it okay? We'll say it's row 2. And then we're like, is it row 2 column A or row 2 column B? Where to discover what this emotion is that could be in there. Okay. And then when you say, okay, it's row 2 column A, and then you go, is it anxiety, despair, disgust, nervousness, or worry? Okay. And then we go da 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 da. And you don't think like, why doesn't I don't feel like despair when I think I'm not doing enough? That's where you get out of your head and you let the angel, in my case, it's like my vision is guided, like the angels are guiding me, rather than, muscle testing is like, oh, is it a strong connection when I do this or not? I don't really teach lessons on muscle testing, but it basically your body knows what is true or what is not true, and you'll be able to have strength in your body if it's true, and if it's not true, you'll break that connection. In case nobody knows what muscle testing is, maybe I'll put a video out on that if you guys are interested. But anyways, and we go through that, and then and there's not a chart on here for this tonight, but if you get the book, you can read into it more. You want to figure out like who it belongs to. Is it mother's line or father's line? Is it grandma? Is it great, great, great? Is it dot, 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 dot? And it's gonna be like that direct line, okay? Because if a cousin has it over here, they got it from somebody up above them. And so you find, okay, it's like my second great grandma, and it is, in despair. Let's just go with that right there. And then he has a process that he uses to help clear that. And so you're thinking about what this is, and as if you've captured it, you know who it came from, and you know what the emotion is. And he believes that, well, our bodies are magnetic. And he's got this whole weird thing. You guys, I don't do it. It's weird. I did do it when I was reading the book. I want you to do it when you read the book, but it's not necessary to do this exact thing. Like I said, some people live and die by this. You don't need to. But he believes that our hands are like well, he has a magnet actually, and you swipe it over the top of your head, and it like pulls out this magnet because your body's magnetic and it's magnetic, and it pulls out the negative energy. I mean, this is where we start looking like weirdos doing energy work. I'm not kidding. So I just feel like there's a way to do energy work and not look like a weirdo. But then also your finger.
That's your main meridian. That's what it's clearing.
Okay, yeah. So the main meridian that comes out there.
Yeah.
But your fingertips are also magnetic, okay? So you can actually just swipe with your fingertips as well. And people do this. So people are just like whoop, whoop, whoop all day long. Well, my little sister, here's how you can break all the rules. She goes, I figured out how to do it with one swipe. She'd be like, done. Maybe her faith is great enough that she can do that. So that's what I'm just saying, like, don't stay in the box on this, but do learn what other people, different ways of how people have learned to address this. Because I would not know what I know about generational healing had I not read his book. But do I stay within all these little weirdity thingies all the time? I do not. But let's do it for Summer. So I'll show you the way that I do it, which is not muscle testing. So I'm looking at Summer's energy, and I want you guys to be a little deeper than this. Then is it row 1, 2, and not doing enough? I want you to actually connect with whatever the dis-ease is. They say Summer's using the words not doing enough. I need to feel that that is actually what I'm testing. So I have her energy show me. To me, it looks like you are like as soon as I went in there, Summer, it looked like you were like way back here and you're not being seen. So it feels like you're never in the front. You're just never, no matter what you do, you're not like, I'm here, I'm the hero. I feel like you're being pushed back a little bit I don't know, like you're not worthy of the limelight or something like that. Does that resonate with you to say that at all?
Yes.
Okay, so that's what it looked like to me. So I may or may not, you know what, I don't even need words for it. I have a vision for it. Like, why does she feel so pushed back or displaced and unimportant? Okay, and therefore not getting the recognition that she needs. So then I'm going to go into, now I'm going to go look at the 1, 2, 3, 4 through 6. And when I do this, I'm not muscle testing. I'm not doing the linky thingy with my fingers or anything. I'm going to go down it and my eyes are going to get stuck on one of the boxes because that's what I tell my angels to tell me to do. Get my heads and my eyes stuck on the box. That is at least the first one that we need to see for this issue. Um, and I'm already having a hard time going past row 1. Okay, but I'm going to go down anyways. Row 1, row 2. The others they might as well just be in the shadow. The other colors do not jump out at me at this time. Only row 1 does. Okay, so I'm just going to go row 1 is the first one we need to see, heart or small intestine. I don't know what that means. I don't know what that's about. Okay, and then I'm going to go, is it column A or column B? And I'm feeling like I can't even look at column B, so I'm going column A. And then I'm looking at, and it could be more than one of these in here, okay? But abandonment is huge. I feel like I can't even look past it. Like it's like the first. That's so weird. Abandonment, betrayal, forlorn, lost, love, and love unreceived. So I've got abandoned. They're kind of a lot in there. It's like as soon as I decide on one, it's like I'm going to decide on a different one. Don't you, Summer? When you look at that, are you like, well, yeah, abandonment, but what about betrayal? What about love? What are you feeling, Summer?
My eyes went first to row 4, column A, but and the first thing that came up was my sister. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
sure that it's all row 4A and row 1A all linked together. There is I would say abandonment, lost, love unreceived, betrayal. And then I even went to anger and bitterness, and hatred and resentful, not guilt, but that was the only one in that one that
Yeah.
I didn't.
And I jumped around to row 4 as well before I started on row 1. So let me explain to everybody why I have a different row than she does. My question was more about generationally, how did this show up? And I'll bet you when she asked the question, she's like, yeah, but also, and she took it more to her personal experience. So I agree with her 1,000% that if we go more with her now life and her personal experiences, row 4, because I did kind of debate a little bit with row 4, but keeping my question to something from the past, not her life, but something from the past, I got row 1. And she's over there thinking like she brought up everything about her sister, this life. And so she's in row 4. So obviously you want to go back and get all the things. So Summer, not to force you into this, but if it was more like, hey, this isn't about your life right now that we're going to clear first, we're going to look at something generationally in the past. And don't say row 1 because I did. Is there one that stands out for you? And again, she could be tweaking the energy of the question just a little bit from how I did it. But what do you think, Summer?
Yeah, it's row 1, column A. Yeah.
Okay, row one
And not
colony.
just because you said I was muscle testing. Yeah, that's the
Oh, and you muscle tested because yeah, you're a muscle tester. So this is a great example of both ways of doing it. And then I see abandonment. It just jumps out big time.
yeah.
I do see betrayal. I mean, you're abandoned, you're betrayed, don't you think? But then love unreceived because abandonment. Sometimes they're kind of all along the same line. So if we were to clear, and then we would want to know who it came from. Sometimes I get people's lineage in there. Like if they have some Irish or some parts of history will pop out to me that it could be from like Irish slavery or the Holocaust. If there's, some German or Jewish, something like that. Sometimes you can, if you know enough about history, which is amazing that Summer you study so much about history because it actually can really help you with something like this. When you understand lineage and what happened in history and people's traumas, it can really help with stuff like this. But anyways, we're looking at this abandonment. I'm going to just go with just abandonment there. So row one, abandonment. And I want to get, do I want a story? I don't think you have to get a story about this. If you know a story, it works. But like I said, most people don't know anything about their dead people. And well, that's just what you would do. He makes it easy. I'm making it all complicated, like past life stuff. We'll make that complicated in a minute. But so basically you would just be like abandonment and you would go like this. And there's a script that you say too, something about love and forgiveness. And I should have looked it up. Anyways, look it up. Then there's like a script you say, affirmations basically that clear it. Okay. And she might feel a little bit, tiny bit better for that. Like we just cleared that for Summer. Okay. Can I do it for her? Yes. Can she do it for her? Yes. Okay. Um, but then like if it's a big issue, you say, okay, show me what's next. And we could go to row four, where we want to maybe address the now of it, but there may still be things from the past. Are you guys getting the feeling that this is like a lot of work? You could be doing this all day, every day for the rest of your life. Um, it's one of the reasons why I don't really get into this whole thing. I feel like there are better ways to really get to the core than to have to muscle test your way through this. Again, I would love for you all to read this and figure this out so you have this idea in your mind. But I'm going to move on from that because what I would rather do, because we're energy readers, is get a different story. But first, I do want to just share this really quick. Um, I don't have any books for you on past life experiences. And my sister-in-law texted me while I was creating these slides and told me she got a reading and anyways, just like in the middle of making these slides, she tells me about one of her past life experiences. And then I was like, hey, do you have a book to suggest to my class? Because I've never actually read a past life experience book. And she's like, not off the top of my head. She's just learned from other people, and I've learned from other people. And I go, well, then I guess that's good enough. You guys are learning from other people right now. But yeah, learn from different perspectives about past life experiences. It will throw you off if you're Christian and you're like, but what about the resurrection? And what about our one body? Like that'll throw you off. So just already put a grain of salt in with that and just kind of, get some ideas. Like I said, I've never even read a book. So maybe don't read a book. I don't know. But I did read this book. This is called Visions of Glory by John Pontius. It is very much, from the LDS religion and things like that, of this guy. He has near-death experiences. And there's a few things in there that he says that got my mind turning and thinking in many different aspects about energy. And especially like, I think he says something like that. We are angels to our past loved ones, and then later we're able to help them through our own bodies pass on stuff. I tried to find the exact quote or part to the book to that today, and I could not, but I just wanted to let you know, like, Amy, where'd you learn all this stuff? How did your brain get into this? This is a huge one for me, this one right here. So it's a little bit about the last days, and it can kind of scare you a little bit. The guy who this happened to, he goes by the name of Spencer in here. John Pontius wrote it. It's not about John Pontius. He wrote this other guy's story as it was told to him. He is called Spencer in the book. John Pontius has now died, but Spencer is alive and lives in like the Sandy area, and he's a therapist. And I still don't know his real name. But I know people who know the people. Anyways, it's cool. This one kind of went viral throughout members of the church there for what my bishop suggested I read it. He's like, you have special gifts, Amy. This is before maybe I was in massage school at that point. But anyways, I was like, he goes, I don't normally recommend this book, but I recommend it to you. So that could open up a lot of things for a lot of different perspectives in energy. Just so you know, that's what that is. That's where they came from. I will post a link later. All right, let's talk about some personal experiences that I've had helping others heal from generational pain and past life experience trauma. So this is where I'll share some stuff and you guys can ask some questions. And mostly the point to this, because I mean, this is a lifelong study, but the point is to expand your mind to more places where you could possibly find the root cause or the core belief that is either in you, someone you're connected to, or your client, or someone they're connected to somehow, some way, that you have a new way to look at this. Instead of saying things like, what's wrong with me? We can say, well, what's been wrong with them throughout time. Any questions though, before I dive into my first story of the day? I know, it's exciting. So let's start with my sister-in-law because she did give me permission. She said she's had like this, okay, she's had a fever. She's been on a supplement for thyroid and but like a natural one or something. Apparently it was animal based and she's completely vegetarian. Anyways, and so she has just had a fever for days now. She missed the Idaho Energy Healing Conference that I was just at. She was going to be there and present as well. Couldn't make it. Very sad. She tells me she was able to have a quick session with Joan. Joan is her energy person, lives in Hawaii, that she does sessions with this afternoon to help clear up the energy. She said, I've suffocated in a past life from drowning, and I was reliving that. So because she just felt like her panic attacks were so bad, she was suffocating. And she's a yoga person, you guys. She knows how to find Zen. So that is not a normal thing for her to experience. And I said back to her, I was like, yeah. Well, I said, first of all, that's so crazy that you text me right now because I'm preparing my slides for past life trauma stuff. And then I just said, I totally believe in the drowning thing. So I had a client, and I've seen her many times over the years from school till current. One time when I was massaging her and working on her energy and her anxiety specifically, I was able to ask the question, where does this anxiety come from? Do we look at generational? Do we need to look at past lives? And it was like, look at her past life. That's what came to me, kind of like muscle testing, except for I'm not muscle testing. I'm just using my intuition because I'm using my hands to work on her. And so I could see this whole scene. And she's Mexican, Native American. That's her lineage, okay? She was adopted, so we don't like know all the things for sure, but she does look like she's both of those. And so I was seeing this whole little scene. And you know what? It doesn't even matter if you're right. If the healing happens, the healing happens, because sometimes we're just getting impressions of things. But I saw that she was like almost like a Pocahontas in a boat rowing out into the lake and like almost held hostage by somebody, a male Indian, not a chief, but somebody who definitely had some power over her or did in that moment. Like she was this princess and he was going to go kill her or something. And so they're rowing out into the ocean, into the lake, and then he hits her with an oar and she's tied. She's like his prisoner, and she goes into the water and she drowns. She literally dies like this. And so my client is saying, that's what my anxiety feels like. She had not said this previous. She goes, that's what my anxiety feels like. It feels like I'm drowning. And I was like, well, in a past life, you did drown and then you died. And so there was no healing from that. And think about it this way, like if we're job shadowing past life people and they're dead, you're like, okay, next, what should I job shadow now? You don't always get to see the whole healing process, and the whole healing process didn't happen. It's like, that kind of sucks because the healing, and I haven't mentioned this yet, but if it happened in the earth, it has to be healed in the earth. If it happened in bodies on the earth, it has to be healed through bodies on the earth. And we are the lucky ones right now that still have bodies, while our ancestors do not. And this is why it comes through. And to make an analogy in the Christian world, it's like the atonement of Jesus Christ. He did that in the flesh for us, for all of the stupid stuff that we would do here. And he atoned, he had one with that, he atoned with that. And so if it happened here, it had to be like healed here. It had to be processed here. And it does not get processed on the other side like that. If it happened in the body, it has to be healed through the body. Um, Same thing with like we believe in baptisms for the dead in my religion, and so I know some of you share my religion, which is why I'm sharing this with you. They can't they just go on the other side and be like, I want that, I want to be baptized, or I just want to be like in on that. They can't. It's like one of us morons down here has to take our body, leave our lives and take our body and go do that baptism for them, because it's something that happens, it has to happen in the flesh, in our bodies here on the earth. So it's kind of along that lines. I don't understand that completely, but I'm sure someday we will. But that is why that happens. And so here it has passed down through her, very possibly through her own lineage, although it's not always this way, but most of the time I find that it is. And anyways, and so now years have gone by. I have seen her many times, and she has said to me several times, she still has anxiety. Okay. So there's more and more and more. Well, anxiety can be for a lot of reasons, right? But she goes, but it has never felt like I was drowning again since the day you cleared that, since we discovered that about her, like drowning as a Pocahontas princess kind of a thing. Never felt like drowning ever again. Huge relief. So, how did this happen? Because we found the origin and we had a story. And I know you're going to be probably a little insecure about saying stupid stories. I told a stupid story today, but guess what? The woman walked out of here feeling completely healed. Because we're not afraid to use our imagination. We're not afraid to use imagery. We're not afraid to be open. We're not afraid to speak. And therefore, we're able to create stories that capture the origin and then help things to clear. Any questions on that before I go on to another story? Okay. You guys think you feel like I'm a very good teacher, okay? Because you never have very many questions. Okay. And then what else? So today I had a client, seen her many times over the last several years, and just so many things heal with her every single time. She's just one of those people that has a lot of things that need to heal, and that is just fine. But today she had a pain in her right leg, and she came in for a massage, and she usually gets a full body, but it was like a right leg massage today. That's like it. She had so much pain in that right leg, and then coming up into her right hip. And I thought she was my only client today because I had other things I had to do, so she was the only one I could take today. And so I was like, well, she came in on generational pain and past life experience day. So I thought I would put everything through that filter. And in fact, as a side note, you guys, some people will take one modality and put everything through that one modality filter. What chakra is it? I love the chakra things. Or they will get only in generational healing, like Dr. Bradley Nelson really just kind of focuses on that. Or people will be like past life regression. There's lots of ways to talk about past lives, but people, or the Akashic records, also past lives information. They will take everything and weed it through that. Okay. I want you to have lots of different things that you can weed it through, but I'm just saying it's possible. You could always just say, okay, let's look at it in this one lens. So because she came today and because it's been a problem for quite some time, and she's so sick of it, I was like, well, let's see where it's connected. And so when I put my hands on her leg, so I'm channeling in on this, and again, you remember I'm intuitive through my hands as well as other ways, but I just kept seeing like somebody jumping off a bridge. Like they've lost their mind, they're insane, they want to jump off the bridge. It feels like it's early 1900s. It looks like it's a gentleman. Now, this is in her right leg. This is why it's important to know the body and the map. It's in her right leg, which is masculine. Okay, energy side. Also, is about moving forward and doing something maybe. Anyways, so he looks like he's about ready to jump off the bridge. And I go to her because I'm thinking in my mind, this is not her. She's not a man in the early 1900s. She's the angel to it, or at least the witness to it. Okay. So she's standing there watching this happen. We go through a whole range of emotions and things. She's very, very annoyed and frustrated by unintelligent people. We went through a lot of discussion about that. And I kept saying, like, she couldn't reason with him. And I said, I think he's like, I don't know what kind of drugs were around in the early 1900s, but he's out of his mind enough. There's probably alcohol and another drug substance that he's got all sorts of attachments moving through his body. Like he is not himself. He is not able to make that choice. He's not making that choice to jump or kill himself. Anyways, long story. There's a lot of details to this one, but we're just talking. We're having a story about it. Okay. And her legs starting to relax and things like this. And we're getting to that. We also talk later about her eyes were very, very irritated. And so I try to do like a lymphatic drainage to see if any of puffiness from the eyelids could clear. She had no lymphatic issues really in her face, which most people do, but she does not. And so then I just put my hands over her, like just touched the energy and just said, what's going on? Again, feeling very irritated. Eyes typically mean not seeing eye to eye with somebody. Again, another reason why you want to know kind of the map of the body and what could be held in what places. Long story short, she, okay, remember she's annoyed. She's irritated. Don't jump, you dumb idiot. But I also saw in his mind, I saw that he was thinking about his mother and his wife and his daughter. Those thoughts had crossed through his mind. And I haven't seen him jump yet either. I'm just seeing everything leading up to what looks like he's going to take his own life. Okay. Switch over here to another part of the body. And I'm seeing that she is not comforted as a baby. She's allowed to scream. This is her life now. Okay. She's allowed to scream. She's cold. It's not like cry yourself to sleep. It's kind of like scream until you pass out. More like her mother was quite neglectful we do know this in this life. Their mother was quite neglectful. And so here's the connection between the two. Her body doesn't know how to self-soothe. It gets irritated, and she's had anger issues for a lot of her life, like so bad I am surprised she's married, and so is she. And she just goes straight to irritation, 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 frustrated, irritated. So here she is, this angel next to this dude who's supposed to jump, who's thinking he's going to jump. And honestly, her soul is immature enough. Hopefully he had other angels, right? But her soul is immature enough that it's not really able to get past the annoyance that he's not able to be intelligent enough in that moment to listen to her. And it's just this whole big thing of irritation and feeling unworthy and not, but then also crying as a baby, not feeling self-soothed. I know this is going a lot of different places, but I also want you to realize it can go a lot of different places. So we do some affirmations. And well, not really affirmations. Let me tell you what I did. I traveled back in time with her. This is just her and her mother right here. I haven't gone back to the bridge guy yet. Okay. Her leg was feeling better and we kind of left that for a minute, having discovered a story. Go back. And so we're with the mom. And I said, I'm going to go back in time with you. So she is 71 years old. And so, and I'm only in my 40s. So I was like, I'm going to come into that nursery with you into your room. And I'm going to be an angel to you in this moment, which I honestly believe, and you work with other people too, believe that you were there. If you're going to be part of their solution, believe that you were there in that moment with them at that time, especially since there is no time, space, or distance, and you can time travel at any time. So I went into the bedroom with her and I saw her cold little hands, and she's not properly bundled, and she's been fed, but she wants to be nurtured. She wants to be soothed. And so her brain is developing all sorts of things right now that should be developing them to have a mind that soothes to none. And I go, you know what? I said, how old are you? She's like, oh, she's like a few months younger than my mother. So I was like, well, you need my mom. Maybe if she's not born yet, we could bring her in. And then I realized my mother is a few months older than her. And I was like, oh, it doesn't work. And then I was like, duh, this is energy work. Bring your mother in. So I bring my mother's energy in because I know exactly what my mother would have done had that baby been crying. She would have nursed that baby as much as that baby needed. She would have held it. She would have made sure it was warm. She would have made sure it was loved. She would have just, I mean, my mother is a fabulous mother. I know what I said last week, but she is a fabulous mother. Okay. Very nurturing, very warm. And I gave her my mother. And so this is where it's more than just an affirmation. It's like a vibration in the room. It's like calling in higher vibrations and replacing negative ones that are causing dis-ease in the body, like literally bringing that life force energy into that room and creating a new story and a new visual and something that you can latch onto that does exist, but you didn't know how to let it into your body. And we leave her with that. And then we go back to the guy on the bridge and we say, if you wouldn't be so annoyed, my friend, my client, if you knew how to self-soothe, if you had been able to feel love and worthy of love. So go back to the guy on the bridge and say, remember love. You love your mother, you love your wife, you love your daughter. Instead of being like, you're such an idiot. Why are you jumping off this bridge? And maybe he would have gone, right? And so we even changed that story and we just said, you showed him how to love. And she's feeling love now for herself as if it was her own experience instead of judgment and abandonment and all the things that she didn't get. she walks out, the session has gone over time and I walk out and because it feels like it's complete. I come over here, I make her a tea because sometimes I do that because I have an herbal tea bar here and I want I when they do go through something deep like that, sometimes I'm like, and keep sipping on this. She lives in South Jordan, so I was like, keep sipping on this and just go home and have that. So I feel drawn to give her, this is called, can you guys see that little picture there? I don't know if you can see that. I have one over there called Soothing Caramel Bedtime. And I was like, yeah, because soothing, she needed to learn to self-soothe. Okay. And remember the bedtime with um, her mom putting her to bed and crying and the scene that we saw. I was like, okay, so that's really cute. Then each one of these little things has like not a fortune, but like a little advice or something. And it's always surprises me how it matches the session of the person when I choose to give them this. And it says the principal ingredient of life is love. You can see that the principal ingredient in life is love. And she walks out and I go, oh, like I've already got this like half made and I'm like, look at this sign. And she's just walking out going, oh, I feel amazing. Her leg had been cramping for, I think, weeks, honestly. And she's like, I feel amazing. My leg feels amazing. And she goes, but you know what? And she's just like ready to cry. She goes, but my soul feels so healed. And ladies, this is why we do it. This is why it's important to have a mindset where you can stay open and you can say, is it this? Is it this? Is it this? Is it this? Change the story, not be afraid to make up a story. Have a story you can grasp. I don't know. We're going to die and find out if this is true fully or not. I feel like it probably is, but there may be some details that were a little off. I couldn't get quite the right year. Was it 1809? Was it 1936? I don't know. Um, you know, there's just things that it just doesn't matter because what we did is we said, here's what people were feeling, here is what they needed instead, and you give them that. Thank you. Okay, that was a long story. Do you guys have questions about that? It's already 9 o'clock. So I know it's a lot. You guys are smart. You guys can like I said, all the time we're just expanding our information of what we know about healing and readings and all these things. We're just expanding it. And then because your mind has been expanded, you are now able to receive inspiration in a way you didn't. And like no two stories are the same. I've done a lot of generational stuff too. We've removed a lot of things out of her left hip initially, to the point where she has been able to, like, I've been working with her a few years, but she's been able to do Tai Bo. She kickboxes. She's like in the best shape. It's weird, but she could barely move when she first came to me. And now because we have talked to her hip and all the grandpa stuff and all the stuff that truly was generational, not so much past life, was able to be removed. And so some of it has just, done and done. So it's pretty cool. Okay. Your assignments for this week. So I do want you to just identify a dis-ease in yourself and discover how it is connected to either generational pain or past life experience trauma or both. Use the belief healing process to heal it for yourself and others associated to the pain. So if it's not yours and you discover that it does belong to grandma or whatever, and I kind of didn't finish the whole process with Summer, because really, you should read the book. You can go back and find your ancestor if you really want to do it that way. Or you can simply say something like, okay, this feels like it's like past lives. It feels like it's on my mom or my dad's side. And maybe you know them, maybe you don't. It's like a grandpa, maybe a great grandpa, something like that. And then you can just start kind of like talk to their soul because we're energy readers. Okay. We are connectors here. Talk to their soul, maybe get a story if you really want to, validate the story, say, okay, I see that. Way different than Summer being like, why do I never feel like I'm good enough at work? Like, why can't I? We're not even talking about Summer anymore. We're talking about somebody who's been waiting for us to go through this awakening and for Dr. Bradley Nelson to write a book and for other people to start talking about this so we could live in a time where we could possibly even ask a question like that. And she's going to go get a story about that and go, oh, it's you. So you bring them along for that process and you're kind of like, hey, watch me. We're going to do this together. All right. It's going to be okay. There's love and light here. I'm going to let my body do this healing for you. Anyways, yeah, use that and all associated to the pain. Offer this type of healing session to someone else in the group. It'd be great for you guys to have some discussion interaction this way. And if you would like to reach out to someone not in this group, like my following through that post, and offer a practice healing session when it comes to this. I will tell you generational pain, my own story very quickly. I spent a lot of years being a single mom. Like I was married to a jerk and left and had 3 little kids. I was divorced by the age of 25 with 3 little kids. And then I was remarried for a little bit and then divorced again and then Michael. So I had this constant feeling that something was missing when I wasn't married. So there were 7 years between the first and second marriage and 5 years between the second and third marriage, which my third marriage is my current marriage. And it was just like so nagging. It didn't matter what I was doing, teaching dance, teaching music, and this massage school, just whatever I was doing. It was so nagging. And it only went away when I was actually in a relationship with somebody. And now I'm divorced from the second guy, back in that single space. And my sister and I are getting into this Dr. Bradley Nelson emotion code thing. And she traced that back to my great grandmother, great. Anyways, I can't remember the exact person. It was definitely on my dad's side. And because we know some genealogy in my family, the story was that they didn't divorce way back when. But what happened was the mom, my grandma, my aunt, my grandma took one of the kids and the grandpa took the other one of the kids. So they were married, but did not live together. And the children did not really interact. They just separated their lives. Like, who does that? My gosh, people. Like, I want all my kids, okay? But anyways, so there was this, she traced that my feeling that I couldn't clear, as insightful as I was, as, you know, all these things I'm always looking at myself for, I could never, ever freaking clear this thing. And it drove me nuts. And she went back to that ancestor, found it, did the swipey thingy, and I was healed. And I still wasn't in a relationship with anybody. I was healed. It no longer bothered me. It didn't sit on my chest like an elephant all the time. It didn't make me feel like, you've got to find a man. You got to get with somebody. You got to, like, you know, all these abandonment issues. You got to hide those things. And it cleared. And within a few months, I did find Michael. I don't know if there's a relation, you know, if that corresponds or not, but that horrid feeling of many, many years was completely gone because we found that root in that source. So yes, I believe in this process. I believe Dr. Bradley Nelson has changed lives over and over again on this life and this side of the veil and the other. So I really do want you to study that and take the parts of it that are going to serve you. But always, my friends, stay open to whatever you feel guided to in the moment, because it's never as easy as anybody could ever just write a book about. We've got to be open to those things. Okay, guys, I hope I can get through this. Next week, we're going to talk about attachments, curses, cords, ghosts, entity. It's like I already feel it like, I tried to put something about, and spiritual weapons. I tried to put something about spiritual weapons, I think, in like the first lesson. And it was just like, no, keep it positive. Don't go there yet. So I'm a positive person, but we have to talk about how some of these things show up. And it's very interesting and it's very powerful to understand this stuff, probably more than anything is this. And in fact, that client that was here today and we did the generational healing, or we did the past life experiences, and some people only put things through basically one filter, what they specialize in. A lot of people specialize in generational healing. And specialize in past lives, right? With her, because we have cleared so many attachments, I just said it's all demons. Everything, you could put everything through the filter of the demons being attached to it. That does go back a little bit to the war in heaven and a Christian background to it. But even I've worked with lots of people who aren't necessarily from that same belief system, who still totally believe in attachments and dark entities and things like that. So there will be common ground no matter where your beliefs are with that. But I don't even know what images I'm going to use. I don't know how we're going to do this or how my computer's not going to crash, because this is the last thing that the devil would ever want me to tell you about. So hopefully I don't die or get sick or something. So should be good next week. And yeah, any last questions? Anyone? You've been great. Okay, I'm going to give you guys some stuff to study and some links on some things, and just see how the week goes. Okay, talk to you later, guys. See you next time. Bye.